Gonna do this every week. I told you guys I was. I gave you a little tidbit, a little how you do on Monday's deeper dive, but something happened Monday night, so we're gonna look more into where the Dolphins sit after week 13. What is up, Fin fans? Miami Dolphins playoff standings. Where we sit after week 13. Well, you know where we sit? Somewhere really good, warm, cushy, soft, embracing. It's a good spot. Before we jump into all that good stuff, because I got a good amount of stuff to talk about, we got to shout out a few people. First and foremost, on the membership side, Fins Up and Astraf Sterling. I think I said your name right. Thank you so much for being a member. Thank you so much for joining the membership. Thank you so much for giving that extra boost to the channel, and that extra support means the world to me. Like I said, for the memberships and the patrons, you guys are going to get something special and even special live streams. So keep up with that. But speaking of patrons, we got Matt Miles. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon. If you want to join the membership, it's the join button next to the subscribe button. If you want to join the Patreon, it's linked in the description below. Patrons get a little bit different perks than the members do, and the members get different perks than the patrons do. Kind of have to weigh your options if you do want to decide to join one or the other. And one last thing, I got to shout out my guy, Sean Seipler, Clean the World. If you notice, I'm wearing this shirt that says wash your hands, bro. It is from Clean the World's website. It's a very nice shirt. I have it in two colors, gray and blue. Love it. Super soft. You can go to the website, support them through that. All the proceeds go to help them helping more people. You might be like, dog, what the flip is Clean the World? Sean Seipler repurposes soap used at hotels, takes them, cleans them, repurposes them into these soaps, puts them in kits. These kits that have socks, shampoo, toothbrush, toothpaste, all that good stuff goes to people in need. Third world countries, natural disasters, the homeless. He has shower stations for these people, doing great things, and I couldn't be more happy to have him as an official sponsor of the channel. So go check him out, cleantheworld.org. Link is in the description. With that out of the way, let's jump into today's video. Now, real quick, I say real quick a lot, Reuben Foster was not signed. So that was something that I did kind of want to touch upon. Reuben Foster was not signed. He did come out with a tweet essentially saying, thank you. I appreciate the tryout, all that stuff, but he was not signed. The Dolphins did end up bringing in Justin Ellis, defensive tackle, to the practice squad, moving on from Veron McKinley. So some depth at the defensive tackle spot. That's pretty much what you got. But let's jump into it now, 3.5 minutes in. I talk a lot. I apologize. You can just fast forward if you want, but I love to talk to you guys and girls. So this is where we're sitting. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. And the Miami Dolphins right now are sitting at the number one seed. Now we have the tiebreaker over the Baltimore Ravens because our conference record is 6-2 and theirs is 6-3. That one loss is the reason we have the tiebreaker over it. But if all four of these teams are with the same record, I think the Dolphins would be the 4th seed. We'll look at that. We'll look at that in a hot second because I have so much to talk to you guys about. But the Miami Dolphins are sitting at the 1 seed going into week 14. Are you kidding me? The last time they were in this position was December of 1990. I was 3. I was 3 years old. I didn't officially become a Dolphin fan for another 2 years. December of 1990 was the last time the Miami Dolphins had the number 1 seed going into week 14. Enjoy it. Enjoy this. Is it going to be for more weeks? Possibly. But right now, sit back and enjoy it. We are the number 1 team in the AFC. It's a thing of beauty. You got the Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs, Jaguars. Chiefs and Jaguars both lost. I didn't think it was going to happen. I love when I'm wrong in these situations, and I always come out and admit I'm wrong. Austin Jackson, I was like, I don't know about him. We'll see what he can do. Wrong. Liam Eichenberg for the past 2-3 weeks. I'm like, oh, God, get this guy out of here. Wrong so far. I'm not going to really, ring the bell on that one. The Chiefs losing to the Packers. Oh, that's not going to happen. Wrong. The Bengals losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. That ain't going to happen. Wrong. Those are the things I will run down the street saying, I am big, dumb, and wrong. Love it. Absolutely love it. And you got Pittsburgh at 5, Cleveland at 6, and Indy at 7. The whole AFC playoff situation is absolutely nuts. It's a little bit more nuts. More nuts than NFC's. NFC's right down here. They got, because you got your cluster of good teams. The Falcons here. Hi, caramba. But you got your cluster of good teams at the top, and then the wild card's kind of like, because Dallas is making the playoffs, and the Eagles are making the playoffs. Dallas, Eagles, these 4 teams are making the 5, unfortunately. But you don't know about Atlanta because someone else can come swoop in. But these 4 teams are definitely making the playoffs, and then it's all about the bottom. Good for you, Green Bay. That's what I got to say about that. I'm flipping good for you guys. But you look at this, and you see Buffalo all the way down here because they lost to some of these teams. We're going to look at it. They have a chance to be eliminated from the playoffs before their game against the Miami Dolphins, which is bonkers. So with that, talking about that, let's look at the percentages. Now, these percentages are essentially, from what I'm getting, is if the Dolphins and these teams stay on their status quo, right? Like the Dolphins don't start tanking and losing games they shouldn't and all that stuff. They just stay on the status quo. Miami right now has a 99% chance of making the playoffs. They have a 98% chance of winning the division. They have a 37% chance of a round 1 bye, which means they have a 37% chance of getting the number 1 seed. They have a 15% chance of making the Super Bowl. If you look at all of the division leaders as of now, the Miami Dolphins have the best numbers in all 4 of the, besides 99%, but it's like greater than 99%, and these aren't. The best numbers out of all 4 of these teams in these 4 categories. Highest Super Bowl percentage, highest first rounds percentage, highest winning the division percentage, and highest making the playoff percentage. In the NFL, no. 49ers have Super Bowl, and 49ers have the best because they're the best team in the football right now. But Buffalo is sitting here with a 15% chance to make the playoffs, a 2% chance to win the division. But this 15% chance to make the playoffs is crazy. Browns, Steelers, Texans, Colts, even the Broncos all have a higher percentage than the Bills of making the playoffs. And that is because the Broncos beat them. These guys have a better record right now and kind of have an easier schedule going down. It ain't looking good for Buffalo. If Buffalo doesn't make the playoffs, it's like, do you fire your head coach? Because you were hot for so long and all of a sudden you kind of fell off there. But that's interesting. But Miami's just, I know, keep it up. Let me give this a legit knock. Keep it up. Keep it up. Now, to this website. If you want to know what it is, it's Playoff Predictor. It's NFL Playoff Predictor. This is this upcoming week. Now, I'm going to, I already put the picks video out. I'm getting 2 videos today. So I'm going to put the picks video out earlier today. And then this is going to come out later because I'm about to make picks for this week. And I don't really want to spoil a video I got planned. So right now, somebody asked, what happens if they tie here? And we're going to look at that. But first and foremost, let's just pick. I'm going to pick it as if I think it's going to happen, right? I think the Steelers are going to beat them, even though if the Patriots were playing legit football, and I'm questioning that, I'm really questioning that because they should have beaten the Chargers. I think the Patriots should win this game, but I'm going with that one. I think the Browns win this one, especially if Trevor Lawrence isn't playing. I think the Texans win this one. Colts win this one. Bengals, I think Kansas City beats Buffalo. I think they're super pissed at losing to the Green Bay Packers. I think the Denver Broncos have a better defense. They will beat the Chargers. Miami winning at home. I think the Ravens will beat the Rams. And if the Rams end up beating the Ravens, that will be bonkers. And I think the Raiders will beat the Vikings. It's kind of like situational. So, status quo. Everything's just pretty much status quo. Say this ties. But again, even if with them winning, they're a game behind. So say these teams lose and we're all status quo, but they tie. There's your answer. So a tie hurts the Chiefs. Somebody asked me that in the comment section or on Twitter. I don't remember. But a tie hurts the Chiefs because it's kind of like a loss. So they would still be at the number 3 seed. But what I honestly think happens is this right here. Then we go the following week. I can see the Raiders winning this one. I don't know what's going on with the Chargers, but I'll give it the Chargers the nod. Colts, Dolphins, Texans. This is going to be interesting. If Trevor Lawrence is back, I wouldn't put it against the Jaguars to win this game. Let me go to that one last because I'm going to pick the obvious ones. This one's a hard one. I'm going to go Vikings. I like their defense better. This one's interesting because if Trevor Lawrence is healthy, I might go Jaguars here. But if he's not, I'm going Ravens. That's where this one's tricky, but I'll go Ravens just for the case. But again, kind of the status quo. All the teams win, nothing changes. So again, we'll be sitting 2 weeks later going into Christmas Eve, still the number 1 seed. This is where it gets interesting, right? I'm going to pick the Steelers to win this one. I like their defense better. Buffalo's going to beat the Chargers, even though they got to go to the West Coast. But I think at this point, they're eliminated. If they lose the next 2 games, Buffalo, they're going to be eliminated. I think Houston wins this one. Denver wins this one. Kansas City wins this one. I'm going to give Washington the nod here. I like the way their offense is playing. And we'll see. Zach Wilson's coming back. I already talked about this. I like the Colts better here. I'm going to go Seattle here. Trevor Lawrence is back. I'm going Trevor Lawrence here. This is where it's interesting. Now, I do think the 49ers are going to win this game. Now, this is the first game where Miami has to put up or shut up. Plain and simple. If Miami loses this game, then all of a sudden the Chiefs claw back and get the number 1 seed, and then the Dolphins are sitting at 2 because they lost to the Chiefs. But if the Dolphins do what they're supposed to do and win at home against a very good Cowboys team, then the Dolphins give themselves a little bit of a cushion. But, big fat pimply but, this is the game that will just decide if the Miami Dolphins get the number 1 seed. So regardless if the Dolphins clinch, and in this scenario where they beat the Titans and they beat New York, and Buffalo loses to the Kansas City Chiefs and they lose to the Cowboys, in that scenario, the Dolphins have clinched the AFC East going into that Dallas game, if that happens. If the Bills beat the Chiefs but lose to the Cowboys, the Dolphins clinch the AFC East if they win those 2 games. They got to lose 1, plain and simple. This is where it comes down to who gets the number 1 seed. Because if the Dolphins lose this game, they lose the tiebreaker because I think they'll win this one. If Burrow was still playing, I would have chalked this up to a loss for Kansas City, but I don't think so. So here is the big play, because if the Dolphins lose to the Ravens, they lose the tiebreaker. So they lost the tiebreaker to both of these teams, and they drop down from 1 to 3. And in this scenario, I'm just going to pick it real quick. We'll go here. I think Buffalo wins. I think they win. I'll go Denver. All right. So in this scenario, if the season ended today, the Dolphins would be playing the Browns at home. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. But they go from 1 to 3. This is where we clinch before the Cowboys game, but they will still play hard for that number 1 seed. So say they lose that game, they come here, they beat Buffalo. I think they beat the Jets just for ha-has. I think the Browns beat the Bengals. Again, this is just a lot can change, so a lot of this can change. I go here, I go here, I go here, I go here. Then we would need the Steelers to lose, and then we get the number 2 seed. Because Steelers to win. Because if not, we're sticking at the 3. And if that's the case, and say, okay, you know, we would need this and this to happen for us to get the number 1 seed again. You could probably see the Dolphins resting their starters for this game because they're not going to get a bye. So, you know, we'll start the game, and then if we notice, oh, the Ravens are blowing out the Steelers and the Chiefs are blowing out the Chargers, there's no way that either of these teams are going to win. We'll probably rest our starters for the second half, which is crazy to talk about. But again, come back here, you got to win this game. You got to win this game because then it doesn't matter if you win or lose this game because you'll still have either the first or second seed because you got that tiebreaker over Baltimore. But that's kind of where we're sitting at when it comes to where the Dolphins are in the playoff positioning. And like I said, I think every Thursday I'm going to do this because after Monday, you get a good understanding of, you know, who's doing what because who plays this Monday? Let me look up who plays this upcoming Monday. We do. Duh. I'm such a dumb idiot. So next week, I'm going to do this on Thursday. But playing on Monday throws everything out of whack because I got to jam. My schedule's going to be nuts again. But like I said before, enjoy this. In my lifetime, I've been a Dolphins fan since, 1993, 1994, but I really started understanding what I'm watching, 97. I really haven't been able to, sit back and be number 1 seed, and we could rest our starters at this point, and, oh my God, we clinched the AFC East, before Christmas Eve on week 15, we clinched, and, oh my God, and never in my lifetime as a Dolphin fan have I been able to do this. So enjoy this because the Dolphins are good. They're very good. They haven't been a good team yet. And they're taking care of business. We'll find out in 2 weeks what's going to happen. And that's where we're going to learn what this team is. That's where we're going to learn when we are facing the Cowboys and facing the Ravens. Now, I don't think week 18 against Buffalo is going to be a game that decides who we are because I think regardless of how the Baltimore and Cowboys game falls, I think we're going to rest our starters after the first half. We win the next 4. I can see them playing the starters for you treat it like a preseason game. Play the starters and then kind of rest them. But enjoy this. This is rare. This hasn't happened since 1990. Enjoy this. Just don't bicker about it. Don't be like, well, that's because or blah, blah, blah. Because there's still people in my comment section who are so negative. Well, you haven't beaten these are Dolphin fans. Haven't beaten a good team yet. Dolphin fans are sitting in my comment section complaining that we're 9-3 and the number 1 seed. Well, we're not good and blah, blah, blah. It's that guy. I'm going to put up a clip, but it's that guy from Major League. Enjoy this. And don't think about the offseason. Don't think about who we have to re-sign. Don't think about the cap space. I have all of that planned. I've done it all. I'm not worried about it. Brandon Shore's not worried about it. Chris Greer's not worried about it. Stephen Ross isn't worried about it. Enjoy this. Keep winning. Keep doing your job. And let's go, baby. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a preview of the Miami Dolphins taking on the Tennessee Titans. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.